U.S. President Donald Trump says he's uncertain if the U.S. will join Israel in bombing Iranian nuclear sites. He also said Tehran should have negotiated a deal over its nuclear program sooner. Yesterday, Trump demanded Iran's unconditional surrender in the conflict with Israel. Here is the U.S. President at the White House today addressing a question on potential U.S. strikes against Iran.
You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago?
Let's bring in our Washington correspondent, Misha Komadovsky. Misha, I may do it, I may not do it. Does he know what he's going to do?
It's $1 million question. Well, there seems to be some degree of ambiguity here, and President Trump avoided answering whether the U.S. will strike Iran's nuclear sites. Evidently, he said, maybe I will, maybe I won't. So after he added that no one knows what he will decide. And Trump claimed Iran now wants to negotiate, but he criticized the timing. He said they should have come to the table earlier and asked, why didn't you talk to me before all this happened? But in fact, Iran had been in talks with the U.S. It simply refused to meet key White House demands. And when asked if it was now too late for negotiations, Trump said, nothing's too late. He had previously backed a peaceful diplomatic solution, but warned that time to strike a deal was running out for Iran. Now, as we saw yesterday, he threatened Iran's supreme leader online and posted a one-line message, unconditional surrender. And today, the president clarified that it could be taken as an ultimatum, or as Trump put it, and I quote, the ultimate ultimatum.
We can't do more than speculate at this point, but what military options would be available if the U.S. actually did decide to get involved more directly?
Well, President Trump has been making the U.S. stance in the region clear, especially after his post yesterday claiming that the U.S. knows the whereabouts of Iran's supreme leader, so he may have given up the element of surprise. But this might also be a final public warning to Iran to come to the table and basically accept his conditions. And Defense Secretary Hegseth says the military is ready to act if President Trump decides to start a war or make peace. He said the Defense Department is prepared to follow the president's orders. If the U.S. were to join the conflict, it might support Israel's bombing campaign by providing a bunker buster bomb. Military experts here in Washington say this would likely require an American aircraft to carry out the strike, which is a direct involvement into the conflict. And back in 2017, the United States used the mother of all bombs, one of the most powerful non-nuclear bombs in the world, in Afghanistan to target ISIS-K militants who were hiding in the tunnel complex. It's unclear what military capabilities the U.S. could provide to Israel now, should they decide that.
The MAGA base is very critical of all of these thought experiments that are happening right now because Donald Trump precisely ran on a platform of being the no-war president. Would he have political backing for an intervention?
Well, a group of U.S. lawmakers from both parties, and that's very important, is trying to stop President Trump from sending U.S. troops into a war with Iran without Congress approval. And Republican Thomas Massie and several Democrats introduced a resolution that would require a vote in Congress before any attack here. Democrat Tim Kaine introduced a similar bill in the Senate, and they say only Congress can decide if the U.S. goes to war. And this is an issue that's dividing people within MAGA circles. Trump's support for Israel's attack on Iran is starting to divide some of his usual supporters in right-wing media. Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon have warned him not to get the U.S. involved in another Middle East war, comparing it to the Iraq conflict.
And those are comments that Trump went on to brush off very, very clearly. That was DW correspondent Misha Komadovsky. Thanks so much for that update.